2 years ago from yesterday was the first time I rode the bike with this group. They said, hey, let's go to Silver Falls. I don't know if you know where Silver Falls is. It's east. It's the rest ground for east of Crosbyton. And they said, it's just 57 miles. I said, I got this. I got this. And so we went there, and I didn't make it 57. I made it 50. But it was the first time I rode with this group, and it was really the first entrance into me riding with the group that I still ride with today. And so Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, I typically will go and ride with this group. I talked last week about Find Your Tribe. That's my tribe. And if you missed last week, I encourage you to go back and listen to that. But as I found my tribe, and as I went and rode with this group of folks, what I found was they were faster than I was, they were stronger than I was, and then they had longer and better endurance than I did. So I struck out 3 times. 3 strikes, you're out. I'm done. I'm out. But they still were gracious enough to say, hey, come and we'll let you ride with us, and we'll pull you along. And so they did. And so for 2 years, that's been my experience, and it's been a good experience, mostly, except I'm looking at this group, and I'm riding with this group, and every time I'm riding with them, they're faster than I am, they are stronger than I am, and they can ride longer. They have better endurance than I do. And at some point, I'm getting ticked. At some point, I'm thinking, why can't I ride as fast as they can? And why can't I be as strong as they are? And why can't I grow longer and as far as they go without just dying? Because every time I go back home and I'm on life support. I mean, it's every stinking week. And at some point, I'm just ticked. I'm mad. Why can't I do what they do? And what happened is I'm riding with them, and just naturally, I start comparing my ride and myself with their rides and them. And when I start comparing, I go down this road of getting upset and getting ticked, why can't I? That's my question. Why can't I? And it started as just looking at the way they ride and the way they rode and what I'm not doing and what I can't do. And then it started there, but then it went to this. I started looking at what they were riding, their bikes. I had a bike I bought in 2008, and I was still riding it. And I'm just telling you, before I started riding with this group, I was happy riding my 2008 bike. It's a good bike. It's a good bike. It's a really, really good bike, except it was in 2008 when I bought it. And I'm now riding in 2024, and they're not riding 2008 bikes. They're riding newer bikes. And clearly, they had to be faster bikes. You know the story when kids get new shoes, they automatically get faster? So I'm just thinking, maybe it's the bike. Maybe it's not the rider. Maybe it's the bike. So I went home to my wife. I said, Anita, I need a new bike. She said, I don't think so, Sam. I didn't compare before I started riding with this group. Why now? I was happy for about 16 of these years of riding that I was okay with where I was as a cyclist. And now I'm not. I want to get faster, and I always wanted to get faster, but now I think I should get faster and be faster. And this comparison thing. And so what's happening in this comparison thing is I find myself going down a road I don't want to go down. Do you ever compare yourself with others? If you compare yourself with others, it's one or two things that usually happen. One of the things that will happen is you will notice that maybe you're further along than they are. And when you start comparing, by the way, if you do the comparison game, you can always find someone who's that you're further along than they are. Always. But what happens is when you find yourself and you're further along, the temptation is this. Look at me. I'm good. And if you're riding a bike, you can look at the other person and say, eat my dust, you can't stay with me. What happens when the comparison goes and you're further along down the road than they are, pride starts creeping in. Arrogance starts to happen. And you find yourself on this path, and you're like, why am I prideful? Why am I arrogant? Why do I just want to laugh at them because I'm better than they are? That's what happens, the comparison. Now, that's not what I'm going to talk about because I've never been prideful in the group I ride with. But it could happen. So there's a whole nother sermon I could talk about and preach on when pride comes in, when you start comparing yourself with others. But what happened with me is you start comparing yourself with others, and they are further along down the road than you are, which is what this story is. And when you find yourself and you are always further behind, trying to catch up, and you think, well, why are they better? Why are they faster? Why are they stronger? Then what happens is several things can come into play. Right. And maybe not all of these three things, maybe just one, maybe just two, maybe it's all three, but if you get on this road and you compare yourself with others and you realize they're further along than you are, be careful because these three things are on the road you'll meet if you keep comparing. The first one is jealousy. Jealousy. If you are comparing yourself and there's someone further than you are, faster than you are, you start resenting them. Because resentment is the heart of jealousy. And when you start resenting, then it can lead to bitterness and it can lead to some anger and like, why can't I be like that? Or why do they have to be so faster and so much faster?